Peru's got access to the Amazon jungle, which I'm sure, every single week, as I'm sure you guys see, there's like new LiDAR surveys about giant cities for 10,000 people that are, just there in the Amazon. Like, they're just there. They just got buried. It's an interdimensional connection, and something that always fascinates me, and something that I'll experience one day when I'm ready. We don't have the puzzle. So when you find a new piece that doesn't necessarily fit into the puzzle, maybe it's not because the new piece doesn't fit. Maybe it's because you're building the puzzle incorrectly. And I think that's where archaeology gets a little confused. What would that say if, like, after 50 years of being the authority that you were actually kind of wrong about this big thing? So it's like, from a purely human perspective, like, that would be life-shattering. It's something that has always bothered me about most institutions, is when some figure or some person betrays to have the information as if they are the sole voice of authority. Because you think 100 miles one way, you've got unlimited food from the jungle. 100 miles the other way, you've got unlimited food from the ocean. Yet the Incan people, they settled and they chose Cusco for their capital city. There's a specific reason why, and I think it's because they did not build the city of Cusco. They happened upon this place that was a remnant from the Ice Age civilization. For sure.
I'll cut out anything goofy, but
boys and girls.
Brittany's gone. I was visiting a planetarium this weekend, a museum in general, Aaron, to give you some context. It had a bunch of different minerals and dinosaur fossils, and had a planetarium. So, what are your thoughts on planetariums?
Yeah, surprisingly, the high school I went to here in Boise, Idaho, has its own planetarium. Capital High School, go Eagles. So they had a planetarium in the high school, so it was pretty neat. We got to go there pretty often. They're pretty cool. I mean, I don't know. Did you ever do like I know it was back in like our parents' generation, I'm sure, like the laser rock shows at the planetarium. I went to one of those when I was little.
Laser rock shows, describe that.
Yeah, basically they just do like a light show, basically something like the Sphere in Las Vegas, but on a lot smaller scale nowadays. They used to do it at planetariums, so it's pretty cool.
Saw a combination. I had fond memories of the planetarium as a kid and seeing the outer space reports, and then lasers. I remember Tool was like the first big commercial rock concert I went to, and that was laserific to the max.
Yeah, Tool's awesome. I've been to them a few times.
Oh, you guys are lucky. I would love that Tool concert. Yeah, the planetarium came to my tiny elementary school in Nova Scotia, but it was like basically like a tent that they made us all lay down in a and they had like a projector. That's the best I got. That was my first planetarium experience. But there was a meteorite that right after Cosmic Summit passed over Pilot Mountain on the 26th of June and blew up over Atlanta, and they have a piece of that meteorite at this museum that I had just went to, called the Telus Science Museum in Cartersville, Georgia. So,
that's great. So that just happened, and they already have the meteor fragment in the museum.
Correct. Yes, sir. Cool. So I thought that was, I didn't know they did. My wife and I just went there because Mike and I drove past it actually on the way back from Cosmic Summit. And nice. I was like, we were looking for something to do that day. And we were going to go check out the Rock Eagle Effigy Mound. It's a site here in south of Atlanta, southwest of Atlanta maybe. But it was... it was like going to be in the middle of traffic, and you just don't want to screw around with traffic in Atlanta. So we decided to go the other way to the Tellus Science Museum. So
Wonderful.
yeah, but we're here today. I think this is Mike and Aaron's first time meeting. So
Yeah,
Aaron,
what's up, Mike? How are you
Aaron.
doing, man?
Welcome to the show. It's great to meet you. Thank you.
Yeah, great to meet you as well. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And we wanted to bring you on the show, Aaron, to promote your new YouTube channel, promote the tours you're doing in Peru, get a little background on the discovery you recently made, find out what else is going to be going on in your world, and maybe just talk a little shop on what's going on in the ancient history world, because that's kind of the basis of your channel, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess we can start from the beginning. I like lots
Please.
of you guys. Yeah, just found a, passing interest in this when I read Graham Hancock's first book, The Fingerprints of the Gods.
That'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, just a fantastic book. And it really, I think for a lot of people, myself included, it really just sparked something in me. And it sparked this notion that I love and this compulsion, I guess you could say, I've had for my entire life. I mean, you can ask my parents. They will tell you on a very early age that the doctors diagnosed me with what's called oppositional defiance disorder.
Interesting.
I think that's my parents' just way of saying that I was just a very tough kid to handle that didn't like being told what to do. So it's been a history, a theme in my life, this resistance to authority. So when Graham Hancock came out with this book, I think it was in 1996. I didn't get my hands on it until a lot later down the road, being as I was a lot younger then. But it changed. It really opened my eyes and ignited something in me that I wanted to be there, but that was also there already. And that was this ability to challenge the mainstream and challenge the authority figures that pretend that they have the information, and it's like the ivory tower of information. That's something that's always rubbed me wrong, and something that has always bothered me about most institutions is when some figure or some person portrays to have the information as if they are the sole voice of authority. So it was really great to see Graham Hancock's challenge to this, and him not necessarily saying, hey, everything is wrong, but like him saying, look at these things. These things don't fit. Look at these legends across all of human history that tell the same story. There's the chances of that happening independently are mathematically impossible. And so that really just sparked my imagination and really got me started on this path of discovery. I think for a lot of people, I mean, Graham's the guy. I mean, he's the OG, the godfather, the grandfather, whatever you want to call it. The one who got a lot of it started for all of us. I know he's been inspirational for both of you guys as well. Have you guys had the chance to meet him?
No, I have not. They had the Arizona. Where was it in Arizona this year? Sedona, yeah, event on very short notice, and Mike and I had already planned Contact in the Desert and Cosmic Summit. So, no. Long answer, short question, no. And I would love to. I almost got the chance another time. My wife and I had tickets to see him at a small venue in New York. This was in like 2016, I think. And then my wife got really, really sick, and we just didn't get to go. So it's like one of those things that I want to, but I don't. Have you?
No, not yet. And I fear with the more popular he's getting, the opportunities will be fleeting. I don't know if you guys saw the tour prices listed for his tours that he's a part of, but it's like $15,000 per person.
Woo!
That's a little bit out of my budget, but
same.
He is the guy to do it with. So, I mean, I offer tours down in Peru, but I know Graham Hancock. I'd probably rather go with him too.
Right. Well, if I'm going to go to Peru, I'm either going with you or Brian Forster. But my introduction into all of this was actually not Graham. It was Robert Schoch. It was Graham who got me back into it when seeing him on Rogan in the early 2010s. I saw Robert Schoch before I even knew who Robert Schoch was on his Mystery of the Sphinx documentary when I was just a little kid.
Is that the one he did with John Anthony West?
Yes, and it's narrated by Charlton Heston.
Yeah, that one's great. That one is great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
the Sphinx. The Sphinx is an interesting one. I know there's been a lot of talk recently with Zahi Hawass going on a bunch of different podcasts, and he did that debate recently on Pierce Morgan with Jimmy
yes.
Corsetti and Dan Richards. And there's a lot of talk about the pyramid and the void within the pyramid,
Hmm.
but they always gloss over or glaze over the Sphinx, and that was kind of like the foundation of uh, debunking a lot of these mainstream archaeology views was Robert Chalk and John Anthony West investigating the Sphinx and the erosion on the Sphinx. So
That's right.
it's interesting to see that Egypt is coming up a lot lately, but like it's driving me crazy. No one's talking about the Sphinx, and I'm like, well, start it with this one. Like you're trying to debunk all these things, and Zahi Hawass will say, accuse people of having these conspiracy theories. Well, they say, well, then who did build them? Da, 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 da. It's just dodging around the question. It's like, hey, answer the basic questions for us. Why is there water erosion on the Sphinx that shows millennia more than should be there? How did they actually lift the stones of the appropriate size? It's funny to see him. He's doing his little dance and dodging around all that stuff and all those questions. It's pretty funny.
I find
Did you guys
Zaya
watch
to
that debate?
be immensely entertaining. So I've seen bits and pieces of it. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Yeah,
I,
it is quite fascinating that he refuses to answer the questions that are asked him and goes back to the have you read my book a lot,
hmm hmm
or um, just a lot of the excuses that he gives. He brings up the papyrus. He brings up specific examples that
hmm
like of them moving the 60-ton stone, and Jimmy asks, "What about the 1,000-ton statue?"
Right.
So it's fun. I would love to go on a tour with Zahi Hawass. So Zahi, if you ever listen to this, Mike and Dave and I would love to go with you.
Yes.
We are
Yes.
fans of yours, even though we disagree with you.
I would buy his
Yeah.
book. I would get him to sign my copy of his book. It would be a fun time. It would be great.
Absolutely. I'll buy your book too, Zahi, but I don't have the 15 grand that you charge for tours.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people's like super mad at Zahi. I did watch the recent debate or whatever you want to call it on Pierce Morgan. Think Pierce is doing a very good job bringing like mainstream coverage to this type of thing. And it was interesting how Jimmy really tried to nail him down on that one question about like, why have you been in there? Why can't we go in there now? That kind of thing. I kind of see Zahi as like an old guy who's like way out of his element as far as like understanding, the capacity for the information that we all are able to get. Just anyone's able to know what Zep Tepe is, for example. You can just look it up online, and I don't think he even realizes that. So I have a little bit of empathy for him in a way. Like I think he needs to get like a younger one of his students or something out there that can, I don't know, go toe to toe with these guys a little bit better, because he's just not representing Egyptology well. And I think it's age related and also like hubris and ego related as well. But it seems a little bit of an
Yeah.
unfair match.
It is hubris related, but it's for me, what really spoke out is that he just continues to use examples that reinforce his own, I
Yeah.
guess you could say, confirmation bias. So he, as he said, he's inspected every grain of sand on the Giza Plateau, and if you rest the Joe Rogan interview, I discovered this. I discovered this. I'm the one on the research team, and even on
Right.
with Jimmy Corsetti and Dan, he said the team from England is working directly under me. So it's always him. So he's
Yes.
always associated with that. So it's like I can understand the perspective of like you have built yourself into this person that is the like authority on Egypt, and then what would that say after he brags that he's worked on this for 50 years? What would that say if, like, after 50 years of being the authority that you were actually kind of wrong about this big thing?
Most
So
things.
it's like, from a purely human perspective, like, that would be life shattering. And so I could
Yes.
understand the psychology behind why he says these things, why he ignores these things and focuses on other things, because he's looking for the things that confirm what he's built himself around. So it's like, yeah, it's a human thing to do, but unfortunately, you know, we would hope that people in authority would be more than their base human instincts and have a more evolved perspective of things, be able to look at things with an open mind and an objective framework. But
You would You would think. He always refers back to the quote unquote debates he's had with, Shock and John Anthony West and Graham Hancock in the past. And I guess what makes me feel bad for him is that like those things happened in front of a few hundred people. Maybe there was a camera there, maybe there wasn't. This shit's happening like on Pierce Morgan with like, I don't know how many views did that get? Like 10 million views or something. Like,
Yeah,
it's rough.
Now, do y'all think
it
y'all
is
think
rough, but
Flint?
it's also. But
Do y'all think Flint texted or emailed Sacsayhuaman asking him to come on his podcast when he came to the United States? And Zai was like, "Nope, sorry, bro, don't have time for you." What's the lack of action there?
yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. He's going on, look, the big ones. Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I wouldn't go on Flint. Actually, I probably would go on Flint Dibble's podcast. I would do it. Flint, I've reached out to him a bunch of times before he blocked me, but
Wow.
that's sad.
He's a
I was always
blocker.
nice to him.
So you didn't even like challenge him too hard. Like you weren't like rubbing it in or anything, and he blocked you.
No, the reason that Flint blocked me is somebody quoted Flint saying that the stories of the Inca were fabricated by modern times, and then I said, "Oh no, that's not true. It was actually the first Spanish chroniclers that wrote down these specific facts about the Inca. I think it was the location of the gold and some other, and the construction of the ruins at Sacsayhuaman. So that's what he blocked me for, was me telling him and then showing him a reference from Wikipedia that said, "Oh, actually, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. You're over your head here."
You weren't a dick about it or anything?
No, I just told him he was out of his league when he was talking about that specifically, and then showed him the Wikipedia reference, and then I got blocked. I wasn't a dick about it.
He
No, I
goes in
try.
and
I don't
out
know
of
if
his
it's
own lane. He has an area of expertise that you can't
yeah,
deny, but he weaves in a lot of other lanes other than he gets in that lane in 3 or 4 other lanes, and some of those lanes he has no real
yeah.
background or authority to speak in, is what I've observed.
It's just interesting. It's just interesting to see the psychology behind it, because people like to attach him to like the figurehead of whatever the mainstream opposition is. And reality is, it's like he's just a like professor. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's just a guy that works at a university. Uh, Not like the guy that's publishing, a bunch of stuff, but he frequently gets this moniker of being like the face from
The
the other
news
side. So I
eyes.
think it's funny.
I should
It's
have
just like
gone on his
just
show.
like
Past
a
the
guy. Yeah, with
Yeah.
an archaeology degree, of course. I mean, and he's done. I know he's done some field work as well. So I'm not trying to discount any of that from him, but he doesn't represent like the institution and the establishment. It's kind of interesting because there's really nothing that represents, or no, I guess there's no single figurehead that would represent the establishment of it, but he often gets labeled as such.
Yeah, I wonder. That's one of the things I had kind of lined up to discuss between the three of us was the whole mainstream academic archaeology versus the quote unquote alt community. And what you just said is an interesting perspective that I don't think a lot of people like take into consideration. Is that there's no Jimmy Corsetti does not represent the entire alt community, and Flint Dibble does not represent the entire mainstream archaeology community. And I often see this just get lumped into the human nature of like tribalism, and it's like alt community versus academics. And like, what the hell is even an academic? I'm an academic. Mike's an academic. If you really want to boil it down, like, and what it really is an alt, because some quote unquote alt people are saying a bunch of nonsense, and so it really is a little bit more complicated than that, wouldn't you say, Aaron?
It is a lot more complicated than that, and it's kind of sad too, because like archaeology is like the
It's
field
awesome.
of discovery. Like you're
Yeah.
literally trying to uncover the past, and like the best way to approach that is with an open mind, because you don't. I mean, we have our ideas, we have our theories, we have a pretty good understanding, but like in reality, we don't know. I love talking about this because most people don't know about this. There's this period of time that's missing from the Earth's history. It's called the Great Unconformity, and literally, there's at minimum 200 million years. This is all over the entire world, but up to a maximum of 2 billion years missing from Earth's sedimentary layers. So basically, the geological record of Earth, you can track it through the sediment layers and build up. There's what's called the Great Unconformity, and up to 2 billion years missing, but 200 million years, or up to 2 billion years missing from parts of the Earth, but 200 million years missing from the total Earth, as if something scraped off the surface of the Earth. So it's like, there is so much that we don't know. And the beauty of this is, the beauty of the field of archaeology is the discovery and is the uncovering of these mysteries and putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And we don't have the puzzle. So when you find a new piece that doesn't necessarily fit into the puzzle, maybe it's not because the new piece doesn't fit. Maybe it's because you're building the puzzle incorrectly. And I think that's where archaeology gets a little confused, because they think that they have the puzzle lined out. And then new pieces come in that don't fit. Instead of rearranging the puzzle, they're trying to ignore those pieces or force those pieces to fit into their puzzle that they've constructed already. If that makes sense.
Yes, that made absolute sense. I had heard of that great unconformity. Forgot about that. That must have been a hell of a Mandela effect when the unconformity kicked in.
Yeah, I mean, whatever happened, that's crazy. Yeah, just hundreds of millions of years missing from Earth's fossil record all over the place, and there's just no talk about it. But I mean, obviously it was also hundreds. I think it was 2 point something billion years ago, or maybe 4 billion years ago, is when the Great Unconformity took place. So it's not like we had humans on here, but there's still just a giant gap missing that anything could have happened. I mean, if humans in their current form, as Michael Button likes to talk about, have existed for about 300,000 years, I mean, you could put 300,000 years of humanity 100 times over in that, in that gap there.
Yeah.
But that is, sorry, to get back to your point here, that is, yeah, it is unfortunate, because we should be, like, all of us, the alternative community, what I call the discovery community, and the archaeology community, we're working towards the same thing. We're trying to uncover the past and put more pieces together so we can understand more about ourselves and where we came from. So it's interesting that we get locked into these ideologies and these silos of either information or results, whether we, whatever result that we want to have happen, whether that's, civilization started in the cradle of civilization and progressed slowly from there and spread outwards, or whether in the silo of, or the line of thinking that we're in, or at least I'm in, where there was a civilization before and during the last ice age that was building some things. So we get stuck on our tracks, and it's always good to check yourself, to recognize when you're getting mired down in your own information and expand your lines of inquiry. That's what I always like to do.
Yeah, check yourself is one of those things that some people are better at than others.
Yeah, I mean, I know Graham Hancock talks about it a lot. I've done it as well. Have you guys done any psychedelics?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. Not in a like heroic way.
Sure.
But yes.
And I think, yeah, so that plays a lot into this. I mean, a part of this community as well. And it's very fascinating because, with psychedelics comes the dissolution of ego. And when you have that dissolution of ego, you're able to separate yourself from the ideas that you previously held, or the inclinations that you had previously held, because they're not attached to who you are. And, we need to get these mainstream archaeology guys down to Peru and do some ayahuasca as well, so that they can have that dissolution of ego that we've experienced. Because I really do think that plays a big part of it. Because then we can, at least for me, it allows me to, stop the processes beforehand and take a look at things with a blank slate and just examine them from a neutral perspective. And that's something that, psychedelics has done for me in, many times. Help me just reorient my perspective and give me a different way of looking at things. And then you see the patterns. You see the patterns through human history. You see the patterns throughout the world with the constructions. It's beautiful. It makes a much more beautiful story for humanity than the one that we're currently given.
Sorry, Mike's on a little bit of a time
Experiencing
delay.
seeing a dissolution of ego is important. If you can hold on to that experience and tap back into it when you're back in your day-to-day life later on, and allow that to shape your perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I've spent a lot of time down in Peru. I know we kind of got off track from my story, but I've spent a lot of time down in Peru, and it's interesting down there because in the Aboriginal and indigenous communities, psychedelics are just a normal part of existence, and they don't even refer to it as psychedelics. It's medicine. It's when you have a problem with your brain and you have a problem with your outlook or your spirit, they have medicine for that. And that medicine is a journey, and that medicine is self-reflection and self-actualization, and with the aid of these foreign substances that unlock and do different things in your brain. But for them, it is a medicine, and it's a therapy, and it's something that's to be embraced, and it's something to be welcomed at the time that it needs doing. And now I haven't done ayahuasca yet, personally, but it's not because I haven't had the opportunity or I don't want to. I've got two great friends that are shaman down in Peru, and they do ayahuasca ceremonies for people. But for them, it's very, very spiritual and very meaningful the way that they do it. They counsel people to do it with a lot of intent, and they counsel like lots of fasting beforehand, not just fasting from food, but like things like social media or masturbation, pornography, caffeine, things like that, essentially to purify like your body so that you can purify your soul so you can work on a specific issue. So that's kind of their approach to it. And they do it in a very holistic, medicinal, focused way. So because of that, I haven't felt the compulsion to go on that type of journey for myself yet. Uh, so the only and out of respect for them, I think the first time I try ayahuasca is going to be with one of them and doing the rituals and doing the rites that their ancestors taught them out of respect for them and their culture and their history. So the other psychedelic use that I've done is just mushrooms and LSD, but the ayahuasca that they do down there is so much more than just the substance. If you guys understand what I'm saying, it's the rituals, the ceremony. For them, it's like the spirits of their ancestors as well, and our ancestors. We get connected to like your own ancestors. It's not just theirs. It's an interdimensional connection, and something that always fascinates me, and something that I'll experience one day when I'm ready.
From the Schumann resonance to the Akashic record. I want to take a moment to talk about that word normal that you use. You said this is a normal part of culture down there. American consumers might hear the word normal and think, well, sitting on the couch, drinking beer and watching sports, that's a normal way to consume a mind-altering substance. American consumers would also consider it normal to get bombarded with propaganda advertising from biopharmaceutical companies that are trying to sell them products, not necessarily heal them. When you say the word normal down there in regards to psychedelic usage, you actually mean that the culture understands and reveres usage of those substances. They take preparations before using them, and that they are administered by what is in effect their doctor, as opposed to normal in America. This is hush hush. This is something that's illicit. So the word normal there's a whole loaded piece of that conversation, and then you did an excellent job highlighting the actual differences in those cultures versus American consumer type.
Yeah, great point. Normal is very interesting because it's like, what is normal? And when you go down to Peru, and every time I go back to Peru, I'm in the United States right now, but every time I go back to Peru, it is just like a breath of fresh air. You get into the Andes Mountains, you get into Cusco, and it's like life kind of resets. It's a lot more simple there. You don't have a bunch of tall buildings. You don't have a bunch of bright lights. I mean, it's a large city. It's got 500,000 people, but the logistics of it, because it's located so high up in the Andes Mountains, everything has to be produced locally. So 90% of the materials for construction, 90% of the food is all grown locally there within the region. The fruit you're getting is from the Amazon rainforest right down the road. So you do go there and you experience this new normal. So for these people down there, this is just everyday life. This is the mountains, the sunshine, the lack of external stimulation from being bombarded by advertisements by pharmaceutical companies. There's the simplicity of what they have there. The normal for them is so beautiful. It draws me there and keeps pulling me back, and it'll be forever be a part of my life. But you guys got to get down. We'll get you down to Peru. We'll get you guys visiting Machu Picchu and all the ancient sites down there. And hey, we can schedule an ayahuasca trip for both you guys if you want to.
Very cool. Would you mind telling us how you talked about growing up and being interested in this stuff, coming across Graham Hancock, but how did you get connected to Peru? What was your first visit there like? Why did you decide to go to Peru? How did all that happen?
Yeah, great question, Dave. Thank you. Really what it started as the name that you mentioned earlier, Brian Forrester. So, yeah, 2020, I think it was October of 2020 when COVID had kind of started to die down. The vaccines were rolling out. Things were getting a little bit more open. We decided, oh no, sorry, that was 2021. Yeah, 2021. So about a year after, get my timeline wrong here. June of 2021, decided to go on a tour with Brian Forrester, and it was a 2-week tour down in the Peru area. And yeah, it was still right in the middle of COVID, right when things were dying down with COVID. So things were a little bit weird down there. It was kind of the first tour group that Brian had done post pandemic. So it was a smaller and a lot more intimate tour group, but I absolutely fell in love with the Andes Mountains and with Cusco and with the city and with the area. So we were down there for 2 weeks, and we were running around everywhere, seeing lots of ancient sites, and I just felt that it was not enough time. The 2 weeks that I was down there was like, this place is amazing. I love the mountains. I love the people. I love the food. I love being able to go and see all these ancient ruins. I need more than 2 weeks. So got back home to the U.S., figured out some things logistically. I'm a small business owner, and due to COVID, we had already moved everything working remotely anyways. So it was a very easy transition to tie up a few loose ends, make sure everything was in place, and then that October, uh, I moved down to Peru and stayed there for 5 months and just started traveling around everywhere, viewing and filming as many of the ancient sites as I possibly could, because that is what brought me joy in life. So that's how everything got started down there. And it was really interesting when I moved to Cusco, is where I lived. I got an Airbnb on the opposite side of town from the city center. So when I moved in, uh, I think I was the only non-native person, probably the only white person other than like some missionaries from America, probably within 5 kilometers. So, within like 3 or 4 miles around me, I was the only gringo. So it was pretty fun. So it was a very, very authentic experience living with like the local population instead of living near the city center where all the tourism stuff happens. Because I got this just great view of who the people are, how they live their lives, and it just, yeah, I fell in love with the area and I fell in love with the Peruvian Andes. And then what kept me down there was the ruins. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but everybody knows about Machu Picchu and everybody's heard of Sacsayhuaman, and you might have heard of some of the other famous sites down there like Piquillacta or Malcayacta, Puma Orco. But there are literally thousands, and I mean this, thousands of archaeological sites down there that nobody has heard of and nobody goes to. And there's a map that you can pull up, and maybe you guys can pull it up and post here or I can send it to you, of the Ministry of Culture down there in Peru. They have this digital map that you can go online, and it has like map pins for each archaeological site on there, and you pull up the whole entire map of Peru, and you can't even tell that it's a map of a country anymore. The whole thing is completely flooded with these little blue pins that mark all the archaeological sites down there. So I mean, it is just absolutely fascinating. So what I did when I was down there is I went down towards their city center. I had this map. I had all this information about all these places that I wanted to go visit. And I went down and I bought this Chinese motorcycle. It was called a Supermoto 250. And I put it on my credit card. And I walked out the door. I think it was $1,250 or something like that. Walked out the door with a brand new motorcycle. I mean, they literally had to pour oil in the engine and pour gasoline in the engine and started up the first time before I left. So I bought this little 250 motorcycle, this little dirt bike, It's so much fun. And then I just got on this map and I started picking out places, throwing them on my Google Maps, and just going and exploring all these ancient ruins and these ancient sites down there in Peru. And it was absolutely incredible and amazing. And so now, because of that, that's why I started offering these tour groups down there, because I've seen tons and tons of stuff. And so I know all the best places to go and how to get there and what to look for.
Awesome.
And all the like places that I haven't heard of. That's one of the things I noticed about even Brian Forster on his tours. He shows you all the main spots, but he also takes you to places that most people don't travel through. And in fact, you gave me a little bit of deja vu, because I was watching a lot of Brian Forster back during that time, and I'm certain I've seen probably you before. Don't remember specifically, but I've seen the videos he was posting of those tours, and I just love how you're like, yeah, but that's not enough. I need to go buy a motorcycle and cruise around and find these spots by myself. Must have been like living the dream, right?
Yeah, it was pretty excellent. And I'm a little bit of a crazy person. And that's really why I did this. Because like when we went on the tour with Brian, and it was a fantastic tour, don't get me wrong. Definitely go visit a tour with Brian if that's something you want to do. But you kind of get limited by the people that you're with. And I'm like younger and in shape, and my risk aversion is quite low compared to most people. So like doing these tours with the tour group was fantastic, but I'm like, oh man, I would really like to go climb that mountain over there. Like, what's that thing that's like 3,000 feet above us? Like, let's go do that. So that's like why I wanted to do it a little bit extra, is to go see, because there's just so much down there. Like I can't even express, like, Brian goes and sees a ton of stuff, but like even the stuff that Brian sees, there's so much that's undocumented and unrecorded by basically anybody. So that was the fun part, was going to, yeah, just explore. I tell people this, and I've been told this many times. I think, if I was living 500 years ago, I would have been one of the first ones on the boats, signing up, get me over to the New World, let me find out what's going on. If I was, 800 years ago, would have been signing up for the Crusades down to go to Jerusalem, or on the opposite side for going up to Europe if I was on the Muslim side. So I've always had that, that inclination to drive and explore and find new things. And in Peru, they have it down there. It's like active nowadays, right here today. And Peru's got access to the Amazon jungle, which I'm sure every single week, as I'm sure you guys see, there's like new LiDAR surveys about giant cities for 10,000 people that are just there in the Amazon.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, they're just there. They just got buried. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's really crazy. I mean, it's so much fun to be able to be a part of that and like be a part of the discovery, and it really drives me.
Were you able to, what would be the process for just an amateur guy into archaeology finding something new and documenting it? Taking pictures of it, stuff like that. Can you submit that anywhere? The pictures and the video that you got, or?
Well, the Ministry of Culture has all these sites marked, so like somebody has reported them to them at some point in time, but there's not a lot of like database of like what exists there, and like there's no photos of most of these sites. It's just like, hey, there's something here. Then you go on Google Maps, you try to find some ruins, see what you can find there. Most of these sites have basically no information. So like a lot of times, I think if you there's not like necessarily new discoveries to be made with these specific sites.
Sure. Okay.
But there's no footage out there. So like a lot of the stuff that I've posted is like some of the first footage of some of these sites, and they're Incan. Sometimes there's megaliths, but it's just interesting to have that new footage on the internet that hasn't been seen before. So the real cool discoveries, though, those are going to be in the Amazon. That's where all the cool stuff was happening. That's what I think.
Yeah, especially with just LiDAR and stuff. I first became aware of that stuff because of Graham Hancock's America Before, and right. I read that like in like a few. It's a meaty book, okay, but like I read that thing in about a month, and I was just like, holy, that totally changed everything for me, because, and that was in 2015, I think it came out, or 2016. It changed everything for me because it shows you that there was like literally massive cities, highway systems. you name it, in the Amazon. And so you're right. That is where it's at. If you've got the constitution to go searching.
Yeah. So that's the difficulty, right? So I mean, I am one of many people who have claimed to have found ruins in the Amazon on Google Maps. I'm not saying that I have definitively done that, but like there's spots that I found where like you can find anomalies on Google Maps with parallel lines that shouldn't exist,
Mm-hmm.
right
Mm-hmm.
angles where you can see the bushes and things or hedges and trees have grown along a specific thing that intersect at a right angle. So you can find these things if you're careful enough and if you spend enough time looking on Google Maps. Then it's like, yeah, that's the next step. Okay, what would it take to actually get an expedition, get a plane, or get a drone and get some LiDAR out there and then go visit it? That's when things get a little bit more difficult and a lot more expensive. So, if any billionaires or millionaires are listening and want to fund an expedition out there, I know of some amazing ruins that I have found in the jungle that I can get to. And I've got all the logistics figured out. We just need some money, so hit me up. But I'm keeping them a
Man,
secret. I can't show you guys where they are because we're going to discover them and find them and post them.
I totally get it. Cody McDonald of East 10 Outpost,
Oh, yeah.
he won some kind of funding for something in Burma or something. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, with Archaic Lens.
Yes.
Graham Langdon, the guy that wrote the book, The Mystery of the Naval Idols. Yeah, he had a little competition to submit a review of his book. And yeah, Cody, good friend of all of ours. Yeah, he's looking like he's going out to Burma, so that'll be cool for them.
Did you apply for that?
I did, yeah, I did. He didn't win it, unfortunately, but that's all right.
Maybe next time. It's cool
Maybe
though
next
that
time.
there are people like with the resources that are willing to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Most notably, Mr. Switching to back to Egypt, but Mr. Matt Bell and the Void
Oh, yeah.
project. Are you familiar with the most recent updates on that?
Yeah, I think there was something I saw yesterday that it was delayed for another 6 months was the most recent update that I got,
Mm-hmm.
but that they are working towards it. That's the thing. Like Jimmy brought that up on the debate with Zahi Hawass. It's been 9 years. Like, come on. What, like, legitimately, what are we doing? Like, I am not an architect. I am not an archaeologist. I'm not a stonemason. But I've got the internet and I've got like resources where I can like learn these things. And like, I know that the block that they have to drill through is is sandstone. It's not granite. So it's like I can like look at the material science behind like doing these things and like the feasibility of it. I'm like, I'm not a smart guy, but like even I can see like you could do it if you wanted to do it. It's not a question of can they do it, it's a question of the motivation behind it. And for some weird reason, yeah, there's that weird like it's just so weird. I'm sure you guys experience it. Like why not? Like what are we waiting on here? Let's just get in there. Let's find out. We can put a lot of theories, a lot of ideas to rest, but we just got to get in there. Why is there delay? That's one thing I can't understand is why the delay in doing this. Well, actually, let me push back on that. I can understand a reason in the delay in doing this. If I was Zahi and I had an inclination that something in that void may debunk or lend credence to a theory that isn't mine, I wouldn't want to go in there either. Because remember, as we talked about earlier, Zahi's the guy. He is Mr. Egypt. He's the guy that has personally touched every single grain of sand on the Giza Plateau. So, maybe that's a reason. But other than that, like I can't think of any good reasons. What about you guys? You got any reasons? Let's brainstorm here. What are we thinking? Why have we gone in the void?
He's got a book to sell.
Yeah.
Right. If you ask me, it's because like I was reading this yesterday, the back and forth between it wasn't like a negative back and forth, but it was between Matt Bell reporting that they have to wait another 6 months, and then Jimmy asking why and that kind of thing. And I can see why, like, you would want to make sure that there's going to be something there to find before you drill into the greatest monument ever built, right? But it's been 9 years. That's the difference, right? And they've been scanning it. What else do they have to scan? So I either put my conspiracy theory hat on and go, whatever's in there is going to change everything, or it could really just be as simple as I'm selling my book right now and doing a world tour of speeches. And it might just slightly like ruin that for me, right? It could be something small and it could be something huge. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mike?
Delays. To me, it just makes it seem like somebody really doesn't want it to happen. Otherwise, they would make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. They run into different issues down in Peru with ongoing excavations and stuff, but the issues are completely different. It's the funding issue. It's like nobody wants to spend the money to do it. It's way too corrupt down there. But like Egypt, it doesn't seem like there's a funding problem. Like that seems the exact opposite. Have you guys seen that new museum that they built? The pictures of it?
I've seen some, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I cannot wait. I want to go there so bad. It looks absolutely incredible. And just like the view looking down there with like the Grand Gallery where you see the 3 pyramids. Oh my goodness. Like that would be awesome. I'll get there someday. Are you guys planning on a trip to Egypt at some point in time?
Yeah, in the 2027 to 2032 time frames.
Wonderful. Yeah, well, once the channel blows up, your guys' channel, you guys will be getting paid to go do those things. That's what's going to be fun.
Exactly.
Be doing a live episode of Mike and Dave's Multiverse from from Giza Plateau.
Yeah, from the new Grand Egyptian Museum. I just pulled up a few just shots of this, and holy moly, that thing is gorgeous.
It's incredible.
Some of these shots. Yeah, to answer your question, I've always wanted to go there. It's a matter of timing and funding, like it is with most people. And sometimes it's always just a matter of I should just pull the trigger when I have the chance next time. But this is it's on my list for sure. It's number one on my list.
Oh, it's number one? Okay, that was my next question. I was like, give me your list of what are some places you want to go? I want to know yours, Dave. I want to know yours, Mike. Like, what are your top 3 or top 5?
I'll give you my top 3. It's Egypt, but I want to do it's hard to just say Egypt because there's like a bunch of shit to see there. So for me, it would have to be like a month long, like, up and down the Nile from north to south. And I'd want to see the whole thing. And then next is going with Praveen Mohan and visiting temples in Peru, or not Peru, in India, I mean. And in particular, Kailasa Temple is something that to me, I bring this up a lot on the show. I'm sorry. I'm like, but like, that thing to me is the most complicated, like, it makes no sense to me how they did that at all whatsoever. Yeah. I could piece it, like if you had the right technology or something, I could see how you could build a pyramid if you had the right energy and like the right amount of manpower and different things. I could see like the engineering, but nothing about Kailasa Temple makes any sense at all. So I definitely want to go there.
It's fascinating that you say that because I've had that exact thought so many times, but specifically about Sacsayhuaman down in Peru. Because it's like, I've got a pretty good understanding of like engineering and like building and structural foundations and stuff. Like, I'm not like a structural engineer or anything like that, but I've got like a moderate understanding of that. But if somebody said to me like, hey, you've got 50 years, go build the Empire State Building. If they said that to me, I'd be like, that's a complicated task, but I'm 100% confident I could get it done. If somebody said, you've got 50 years, using the materials that they had back then, go replicate the Kailasa Temple, the Kailash Temple, go replicate Sacsayhuaman, I couldn't do it. It is beyond, not even beyond my like capabilities, beyond like my scope of understanding of materials. Like I just don't like. That's how amazing the Kailash Temple is. It's pushes the limits of what I know to be possible by human hands. Yes. And yeah, I would absolutely love to go visit there someday. It's high up on my list too.
Yeah.
What was your third one?
Third place for me is the Andes area where you're so familiar with, which is Sacsayhuaman and the Inca Trail and Machu Picchu and all that stuff. I would really want to see the H blocks. I'm just blanking on the area. Yeah,
and
Pumapunku and Tiwanaku, yeah, and then the Lake Titicaca. I'd like to see all that as well. But Peru, and I'm being really general here, but Peru is number 3 for me. What about you, Mike?
That's awesome. Yeah, Peru's great because Peru you can get like a good 2 weeks in, and that's like enough to visit like a ton of stuff down there and see like all of the big things. Because it is pretty close proximity. You're talking about a very, small region between Cusco, and then if you want to go to the Titicaca, it's like an hour flight by plane away. Yeah, I feel like in Egypt, where you kind of hit on, it's like, yeah, you need like a month. You need like,
You do.
You got Luxor up north. You got, the Aswan Quarry hundreds of kilometers away. You got the plateau. Yeah, there's tons of stuff there. It's a little bit intimidating.
Yeah, it is.
And especially for people like us that are involved in this alternative history community, like, you don't want to just go there and like do the basic tour of, the textbook tour. Like most people, like, my parents or my uncles and aunts, whenever they want, they get like the tour of like the Egyptian tour, like, oh, the Egyptians, this is how they did it. It's like a 2-week thing. They go visit some sites, but like the people that are queued in, they're like, hold on a minute. There is so much more and so much more that's fascinating about this that you don't get to see just by hitting these sites over a 10-day period.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, specifically with Egypt too, because they do whitewash a lot of these tours just to like the Grand Gallery, Luxor, the Saqqara, and things like that. Which, don't get me wrong, there's also amazing things to go see there. We'll be there someday too. But yeah, it's really cool. What about you, Mike? What were your 3 there? Where do you want to go?
Just from a general perspective, Angkor Wat, because it's just always, I'm probably lagging. I hope you can hear me. Angkor Wat for number 2, and then Sacsayhuaman for number 3. Those would be my big 3. Of course, I'd like to go everywhere and see everything. Dave and I were sort of thrilled to learn that there's a whole lot of Native American mound sites within, a few hours from where we live, or like between us here and there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff.
Now, Dave's in Georgia. Where are you at, Mike?
I would recommend watching the Grand Hancock Quest for the Lost Civilization. It's a little bit of an older documentary. You can find it on. You're better. You can find it on YouTube. Quest for the Lost Civilization. He goes into detail about the equinoctial alignments and stuff like that, and how the sun, the way the sun sets at the temple and stuff like that. It's just absolutely mind blowing. And then also in that area, the temples, much like Giza, reflects the sky with Orion's belt. The Angkor Wat and the surrounding temples, they reflect the constellation of Draco for some reason.
Interesting.
And and it's quite staggering when you actually see the comparisons. It's like, oh wow, it actually really does. So just looking at it from above, and you go, how the hell did they do that? Because it seems as though it was designed to be seen from above.
Yeah.
Mike, welcome back. We missed your first one. We got Angkor Wat and Sacsayhuaman, but we missed.
Okay, back to the question: top 3 megalithic locations to visit on Earth. Egypt has to be number 1, and I'm drawing a big box around that one. From Giza to Dashur, like you said, Aswan. There's a whole lot to check out over there. For number 2, I'm thinking Angkor Wat. I was always just sort of intrigued by the way the castle looks, by the way everything looks at Angkor Wat. And then after the reboot, that's what Dave was talking about. That's the sort of thumbnail image on the Graham Hancock doco. If you look up that, it's got Angkor Wat on it. And then what was I saying for 3rd place? Sacsayhuaman, Peru. That's right. So that's the big 3 for me. Of course, I want to go everywhere and see as much as I can. It's not like I got to get up to go to Egypt next year. When the time's right, everything will fall into place.
The time is right. Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned Sacsayhuaman specifically, because like everybody else outside of like the discovery community, when they think of like going to Peru, it's one thing. It's Machu Picchu, right? And Machu Picchu is great, and I've been to Machu Picchu 6 times. But Sacsayhuaman takes my breath away. It is so far beyond my understanding of how things work that it's incredible. I mean, yeah, the number one place down there by far. And every time, I've been on a few tours and I ask people at the end of the tours, what's the favorite thing or what's the most impressive thing? What was the most fantastic thing that you saw? 90% of the time, 9 out of 10, everyone's going to say Sacsayhuaman. And it's right in the middle of the city, and it's the ruins of something even more amazing. But yeah, Sacsayhuaman is great.
And it's because of the polygonal weird shaped not even the weird shaped things, rocks all
Yeah.
fit together. Where they moved it from, where they moved the material from is literally up on a mountain, correct?
Yeah, well, Sacsayhuaman is very interesting. They don't know the specific place where they quarried them. We have a general understanding that might have been about 8 miles away down the valley. But what's most interesting about Sacsayhuaman and the quarrying process is that if you try to attribute it to the Inca, we know a couple of things. During the Inca time, they had no pack animals, so they only had llamas. Llamas, you cannot use them to drag stuff. Llamas and alpacas. And they didn't have any straight trees down there. They had the largest tree that they have down there is what's called the chirimoya, which is their national tree of Peru, but it's like a bush. If you remember, Peru is very close to the equator, and it's very, very high up in the Andes Mountains. So for 9 months out of the year, it is cool, but very arid. So not a lot of plants grow here. It takes a specific type of plant to grow in this Cusco area. So the trees that they had were not straight. They were small and gnarled branches and, curved trunks. So the logistics then of moving these stones with no rollers, no sleds, no pack animals, 8 miles through the Andes Mountains seems completely unfeasible. And then it's like, how do you cut them? When do you cut them? Because it fits together like a three-dimensional puzzle. It's not just like you look at the outside and it's got cool polygonal shapes. No, each of those blocks is a three-dimensional shape that fits together with specific grooves and notches so that,
Right.
and I don't know who did this, but whoever did it, potentially one of the purposes of it is to make it earthquake proof. It's on a fault line down there. So when earthquakes happen, the stones of Sacsayhuaman will shake and vibrate apart. And then once the earthquake was done, because of how they are polygonally fit together, they settle back down to the exact same shape. Blocks don't fall
Bizarre.
off. They don't slide around. They just fit back together.
That doesn't make any sense. To me, it's like it doesn't make any sense that the Inca did it, right? It's like
No.
to me, it's in the top three of like how the hell did they do that in the world? For me, still,
Yeah.
it's in Kailasa Temple in India, but Sacsayhuaman's definitely up there. I did find a picture of the constellation of Draco and Angkor Wat. So let me just show that really quick.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't seen it, it's worth a look. And then we'll just zoom in. So yeah, that's weird, right?
Yeah. Super weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was done by people with bronze tools and no lasers and
yeah. Come on, and also like it's supposed to be seen like from the sky, obviously, or else why would you do that? And it's massive. We're talking about, I don't know exactly how large the complex is, but it's like you really need to be high up to even appreciate that. And that's actually something that comes up a lot in ancient megalithic architecture. I wanted to ask you, what with Peru in mind specifically, the Nazca lines, they're obviously were designed to be seen from above as well. Um, have you seen them like from above? And if so, like what have you talked to like natives about them or anything like that? Like what are the natives say about those?
Yeah. So the Nazca lines are very, very interesting. I have seen them just once. I'll plan to go again, but you get it once, you kind of get the feel for it, right? Because then for after that, you can just look at satellite images and aerial photography. But the Nazca lines, what really struck out to me, I don't have my computer in front of me, but maybe we can pull up and post. There's two different sets of different types of artwork. There's like what I would call the human art, which is animals and people and the Atacama giant and the condor and the monkey and things like that, and the zodiac symbols. And then there's the geometric art. And sometimes you just have triangles and squares and lines that intersect at weird angles. And there's one specifically I'll send over to you guys. We can pull up a picture of it here. My first impression when I looked at it was it looks, not that it looks like, but it reminded me of like a QR code. Because you have all these strange lines, strange angles, strange symbols interacting and overlapping each other. And that was my first impression of like, oh, maybe this is somebody from outer space that's writing their little marking on this planet, giving us some information about what's going on down here, or telling people something, or maybe it's people from the ground writing a message up to the people in the sky. But yeah, the Nazca lines are absolutely fantastic, and how they were able to get a straight line. I think the longest one's like 800 meters or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
like over a half a mile. And the ability to get a straight line consistently for a half a mile is absolutely, it takes it it's an absolutely incredible feat of engineering. The ancient peoples definitely could have done it. There are numerous methods to get lines. I mean, it's not perfect, but you can get straight lines like that. But the effort to do that and the intention to do that is what blows me away about the Nazca lines. So it's not so much that like, hey, people can do this. I could do it. I could go make lines in the desert south of my town that are visible
Right.
from space. But it's like, why? Why are these
Mhm.
people doing that? That's the answers that we don't have. We don't know why they were doing this. We don't know when specifically it was constructed. And we don't know what message they were trying to tell people, but they
Mm,
were trying to tell people something. And it wasn't for
yes.
them, because the majority of these lines and the majority of the shapes you don't get to see at all. There's one spot where there's like one hill where you can kind of overlook and see some
Yep.
things down there, but the rest you got to be up in the sky.
Yep.
Yeah. Nazca lines are cool, and then a little bit down south in Chile you have the Atacama giant, which is also really cool as well. Yeah, the Inca were onto something, and it really adds to what I call the megalithic mystery, Peru specifically, because the Inca were the most powerful empire down there. They had an empire that existed for hundreds of years and stretched 2,000 miles, and they conquered other people by the majority of the time they conquered people was through acquisition of like trade routes. They welcomed people into their empire, as long as they subjected themselves to the Incan rules and way of living,
Yep.
which was to worship the sun god, worship the Sapa Inca, and to be kind to other people and be honest. So as long as you accepted the Incas gods, you could become a part of their empire. So they had this vast, amazing empire that was all down Peru and all down Ecuador and Chile and the ocean. And they chose to have their capital city of as Cusco, 11,000 feet in elevation, 150 miles from the ocean, 100 miles from the jungle. Why did they have their the capital city of their empire in such a logistically infeasible location? Because you think 100 miles one way, you've got unlimited food from the jungle.
Yep.
100 miles the other way, you've got unlimited food from the ocean.
Coast.
Yet the Incan people, they settled and they chose Cusco for their capital city. There's a specific reason why, and I think it's because they did not build the city of Cusco. They happened upon this place that was a
Mm,
remnant from the Ice Age civilization. Whatever ancient apocalypse happened that wiped out whoever existed during the last Ice Age, at least
Yep.
I believe, this was one of the few remaining structurally intact remnants. And the reason it was structurally intact is, again, because of its specific location. You're sitting 11,000 feet up on a mountain. You're
Yep.
on the opposite side of the world from where the Younger Dryas impact potentially was. You're like one of the safest places on the planet. So that's why you have a lot of these ruins down there in that specific region that are so well preserved, and you still have so many of these ancient blocks that are in such good shape and used for so many things is because it was so well protected from whatever apocalypse happened during the Younger Dryas. At least that's what I'm thinking.
You go, Mike.
It makes sense. And then if your empire is large enough, maybe you don't mind having your capital, your last city, at the most challenging place to reach. So if you lose something on the periphery of your empire, it's no big deal. If somebody comes on the coast, they got a lot of territory to get through before they get to Cusco.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's exactly what the Spanish.
That's what happened.
Exactly what happened.
Yep.
Yeah, but they built there for a reason, because they found these structures there. They found the remnants of something else there, and then it's when you go there. A lot of people talk about, I'm sure you guys have heard of ley lines and energy lines and things like that. They say that Machu Picchu and Cusco's on a ley line. I don't know if I believe that or not. For me, it could be true. It could not be true. But regardless, when you go there, there is an energy, and there is a different energy that you feel. And maybe it's because of the air being super, super clean because you're high up in the mountains. Maybe it's because the food is super, super great. But there's something different about it. And there's something that drew me, continues to draw me, and draws a lot of other people there. And it's not because of where it is. And I think that is why the Incans settled there, and that is why they chose that as their capital, because it was special and because it was a remnant of something that happened 10,000 years prior. Because they could have been anywhere. And in fact, when the Incan Empire fell, and the last emperor was in the city of Cajamarca when the Spanish invaded. He was on the coast. They had big cities down there. He had just gotten done with a civil war to help reunify the Inca. He had to actually fight his brother. I believe his name was Atahualpa. Atahualpa was the last. Yeah, that's correct. Atahualpa was the last Inca that was defeated by the Spanish. But he was on the coast, so it's like they had all this land, they had all this availability, but they chose Cusco. They chose the mountains. They chose high up there. They chose where these megalithic structures existed because they knew something special about that place.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. In like your website's called Megalithic Mystery. You brought up the Younger Dryas and possible catastrophe that reset civilization. This is the idea that we all like thinking about. So, do you believe that there was a global, interconnected civilization that influenced each other across the globe before, over 12,000 years ago, that we probably all call Atlantis now? Is that your general belief at this time?
I think it's complicated. Yes and no. I think that's a great question, Dave. Thanks for that. But it's a complicated thing because, again, people get stuck in their that question gets stuck in whatever frame of mind they have beforehand. A lot of people think like, oh, there must have been some like advanced civilization that had conquered the globe, was trading everywhere, was doing things. Maybe. What I definitely believe is that humans existed before and during the last ice age. Some of those humans, or I shouldn't say humans, people, I'll say some of those people were responsible for constructing the amazing things that we see, the remnants of the amazing things that we see from Peru to parts in Egypt, Libya, Syria, Japan, Turkey, Malta. I mean, I can go on.
Right.
They were the ones that were constructing these things. The term advanced gets a little tricky too, because what does advanced mean? I'm one that subscribes to the theory that if these people were advanced, they were not in this advanced the same way that we think of ourselves as advanced with combustion engines, circuitry, electronics, etc. It's highly possible that they could have been advanced in completely different ways and taken a completely different technological path than us modern humans took. And this is where it gets a little crazy because this is where people start talking about weird things like frequencies and vibrations and harmonics. But when you go to a lot of these ancient sites, specifically down the ones in Peru, they have resonance with specific frequencies, and they have resonance. And I've tested this myself at a site called Siustani, where they have these gigantic chulpas that were made of granite. The whole structure vibrates and resonates at 432 hertz. So not 440, not perfect day, but this specific number, 432. And it does weird things with the air, it does weird things with your vision, and it does weird things with the sound when you start playing or singing or humming this frequency, this specific sound super loud. So I think it's entirely possible that whoever did construct these things, and I think there was somebody that constructed them, did it on a different foundational understanding of technology. So yes, you can say it was an advanced technology that did this, but that doesn't necessarily mean lasers and water jets and combustion engines and circuitry. It could mean something that is completely outside of the fundamentals of understanding that we have these days. But there's a few specific reasons why I do believe that it was a specific group that was doing this, and it was doing this across the globe. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys are familiar with like the Orontius Phineas map and the Admiral
Mm-hmm.
Piri Reis map.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one other, I can't remember who did it, but an ancient Chinese map written in the 1500s that showed the coastline of Antarctica, as well as the east coast of America, which was fascinating. I can pull it up for us, send it to you guys. So somebody was mapping that, and that was well before we had figured out how to map longitude and latitude with a sextant. And so somebody else had been doing this beforehand. And if you talk to the legends of these map makers of the Orontius Phineas map, they'd say that they were drawing on from older source maps that were, subsequently lost. So that's another piece of the puzzle. For me, it's like fitting all these pieces together. You have the similar looking stonework all across the world from cultures that had no connection. That's one piece. You have these maps that don't have the or that display things, display the coastlines of the Americas and Antarctica hundreds of years before we quote unquote discover them. That's another piece of the map. You have these astronomical alignments that don't fit with the exact measurements of the alignment to the stars nowadays, but they do fit with ancient times due to the axial precession. So like all of these things are just little pieces of the puzzle that for me, are building the puzzle of that there was somebody here that was doing something. And they were at least at bare minimum building these things all around the world and created maps. And that's about all I can say for like what I am confident in saying with at least moderate amount of certainty based on these pieces of information. But then that does get into like the Atlantis or Lemuria or Mu, whatever we're going to call it. It was most likely, yeah, one connected society or one society that like shared information. But that doesn't mean it was everybody. And something I think about a lot nowadays is the duality of humanity that we have here on Earth. Like right now, you have people living in the Amazon and in the North Central Island that are straight up hunter gatherers. They are existing, killing their food with spears and with bows and with sticks and with arrows today. At the same time that we've got dudes in the space station, allegedly, flying around the Earth in zero gravity. So it's like we have this interesting duality right now that exists. We've got hunter-gatherers and space-age humans that live on the same rock. And so it's like it's highly possible that 11,000 years ago, and in fact I would say it's highly likely that 11,000 years ago you had, during the Younger Dryas time period, you had the same duality happening. You had a civilization of people, whether that was Homo sapiens or a different type of people, or whether even it was well, most likely Homo sapiens, so I will take that back there. But you had this people that were living here that could have been so much more advanced than the rest of the world, and the Neanderthals, the Clovis, or whoever else was existing at this time. So you could have had this duality. So it doesn't, this existence and these markers around the world that exist, a people that were doing something far more advanced than we see nowadays, does not mean that like at one point in time the Earth was, a space age civilization. It could have been a very select few group of people that were doing a select few things while the rest of the world was cavemen. Because that exists literally right now, and we don't talk about it. It's fascinating to think about.
It makes sense. And if one far outnumbered the other, like if the high tech or high advanced component was a very, very small portion, it'd be proportionally way less evidence existing to uncover from that. So
Yeah, absolutely. And beyond that, like if an asteroid strikes today, who is going to survive? Is it me and you in the city with our cars and our cell phones and
No.
our propane heaters, or is the
Drive-throughs.
people in the jungle that are already living in caves and tents and they know how to do that, and they know all of the things to eat in the jungle and all of the medicine that they can get, and they don't have to rely on Wikipedia to get anything done.
Exactly.
Those people are going to survive, not you and me. So if another asteroid hits 10,000 years from now, who's going to be left? The remnants of those people, not the remnants of me.
Yep.
I think we all like to think we got the chops, but we really we really don't. When you really go see how you watch documentaries of people who embed themselves in those tribes, it's a whole different ball game of integration with your environment, and it's a whole different thing. And most 99% of us wouldn't hack it.
Yeah, and it's just like a cultural inheritance too. Just like even like small things of like, don't eat this plant, don't
Right.
like, or like put this plant next to something to prevent this bug from biting you. Like those tiny little things are just like a commonplace like ancestral knowledge that you just like you get as in the process of growing up in that community. Like you don't get by being transplanted in that community. So yeah, like
Right.
their chances of survival, even if like let's say I made it to the Amazon and I was able to hook up with an Aboriginal tribe right as the apocalypse happened, like I'm still probably screwed. Like me personally.
Wouldn't that be
You're still-
something? What if you happen to just get tickets to take a tour of Malta right when the geophysical event occurs? You're just like, well,
Yeah,
I'm
that would be
going
crazy.
in.
Yeah, well, all these billionaires are building bunkers, like nuclear
Right.
bunkers down in New Zealand, right? And all these other places. Yeah, it makes me think like maybe that was Darren Kuyu over in Turkey. Maybe that was just like one eccentric dude that was like,
Yes.
nope, I'm going to survive this thing. This is my bunker over here.
Yep.
It's definitely possible. You're going to need a pair of Nikes or something like to survive. You know what I mean? You're going to at least need like some shoes or something.
Yeah.
Toilet paper is the last thing you're going to be worried about. But like I think needing some shoes is like to me top priority. That's the thing is that the hunter gatherers that live today, they minimal shoe wear like we talk about minimalist shoes. It's like all the rage nowadays. That's like that's not even close to what these people are rocking down in the Amazon or in North Sentinelese. Is it Sentinelese Island?
North Sentinel Island, but I think they're called the Sentinelese. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, and they're literally we're a cargo cult for them. Who they don't even like us actually. They're not worshiping us at all. The people who fly over, they're killing people on site over there. So
That
Yeah,
just gave me a
North
really-
Sentinel Island. We're going to get down a different tangent here. I'll go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say they gave me a funny idea for reverse cargo cult. We can flesh out that bit later on. Reverse cargo.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, North Sentinel Island. Every time I think about it, it gets me down a different tangent, and I'm gonna, we're gonna stray a little bit away from the ancient civilizations talk here. But you guys are, Mike and Dave's multiverse, so I figure it might be appropriate. But North Sentinel Island is owned by India, right?
Yes.
Do the Sentinelese know that India owns them? Probably not. And it's illegal to travel to North Sentinel Island, but it's enforced by India. It's not illegal from the North Sentinelese. Like, they don't control who goes in and out to that island. It's India who controls who goes in and out to the North Sentinel Island. And I think to myself, oh man, what if Earth is somebody else's North Sentinel Island? What if we are the Sentinelese and nobody else is allowed to come visit us except under very controlled circumstances? That kind of breaks apart my, the Fermi paradox of why nobody else is visiting here. I think, that's a good one. Because like we're doing it to these people. We are enforcing the nobody gets to travel there. Nobody gets to visit you.
Yeah.
Like you'll get attacked by the Indian Navy. So, geez, I hope that we are not somebody else's, like we as in planet Earth are not somebody else's North Sentinel Island, because that would be kind of a frightening thought.
That's a really
Maybe a
interesting.
little bit comforting too, because they're protecting us from something.
Oh, definitely. It's an interesting perspective, and I find it a little bit more palatable than what I sometimes wonder. If we're not like a petri dish that was supposed to be clean, like completely swabbed clean and disinfected, and then we got put on the shelf and it wasn't totally clean, and there was something left over in there, and the lights are off, the door's shut, everyone's left the room. And here we are on Earth inventing technology that we don't know about.
Somebody's
It
going to come around a few 100,000 years later and throw us in the trash can.
It honestly could be both of those things at the same time. There could be the North Sentinelese. We could be somebody's North Sentinelese, and then whoever they are could be the petri dish that we're all
Yeah.
in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We really don't know, and that's one of the cool things about the multiverse that we live in. Whether it's a multiverse or not, the universe we live in is it's infinitely large and infinitely small at the same time. And it's just it's why, especially when it comes to time and ancient history, it's the hubris that you have to think that you know what happened 10,000 years ago, what people were doing specifically, based on minimal evidence. And I think about the archaeological principle of work from the known to the unknown, and I get why they do that, but at the same time, you can't you can't just take like this that's why the Clovis first thing was like stuck in the mud forever, because they were sticking with this. We know these Clovis people were here at this time, so it was Clovis first, right? And it's like you have to be open to other like ideas when it comes to the ancient past. You just have to be.
Yeah. Well, it's like you're not people get mired in the fact that you're uncovering a story. You're not uncovering your story or human story.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, just like with everything in life, be objective, approach things with an open mind. Then the puzzle pieces can put together post.
Right, right. I wanted to, as we start getting towards the end of the discussion, I wanted to ask you about your tours, and what those look like. I've got the website pulled up, and then also move into your new show, which I really enjoy.
Thank you.
But here's your website. This is how you go visit Peru with Aaron. It's on megalithicmysteries.com, correct?
That is correct. Megalithic
Yeah,
Singular.
megalithicmystery.com. And I
Yeah.
mean, you've been to all these sites, and you can take people to these sites. What I liked about what you told me the other day was that it's not, and you told us today as well. You want to go with Brian Forster or other people, great, because you'll have a good time. But if you want a more intimate experience that's more tailored to your needs and the places you want to go, you do something a little more private, and that's what you do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really great process, and thanks for asking me about it, Dave. So the way that I do my tours is exactly that. You get to pick the locations that you want to go. So I've got a database of all these places and everywhere that I've been and exactly how to get there and what it takes to get there, and which sites are worth going to see. So we'll get together. If you want to book a tour, we'll get together and we build out an itinerary based on your top objectives. I mean, obviously we'll throw Machu Picchu or the seven colored mountain, Rainbow Mountain,
Mm-hmm.
Vinicunca on there, Laguna Humantay, because there's lots of nature stuff to do as well as ruins. And we'd build the tour around what you want to do, when you want to do it, and craft the ideal experience for each person or each group that's coming down there. So yeah, if you want something that's more specific, or if you guys have special needs of any sort, uh, we'll cater the tour to whatever needs to be. Even people in wheelchairs, we can handle them as well. So pick you up, strap you on my back, and hike you around to a bunch of these places. I'm not exaggerating. I have done that with people. So we'll get you there if we need to get you there.
That's
Awesome.
amazing, man.
You
Yeah.
can't do much more for somebody
Yeah,
as
it's
a
a lot
tour
of
guide,
fun.
but literally put them on
What's
your
that?
back. You can't do much more for somebody as a tour guide than literally carrying them on your back. So that's amazing.
Yeah, well, it was, carrying them on my back or, potentially carrying them out of there, to the hospital. So, easy choice, easy choice. It's kind of funny. It was at this place. You can look it up. It's called Nyaupa Iglesia,
Mhm.
Naupa Iglesia. So it just means ancient church or sacred church. And it's down by the city of Ollantaytambo. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. It's down by the city of Urubamba in Peru.
Mhm.
But to get there from the road is basically just 250 stairs straight up the side of the mountain and up to this beautiful, beautiful cave with this megalithic stone that aligns to the Southern Cross constellation. So another astronomical alignment. Very, very spiritual place. Very amazing. Most people that go to Peru, they do end up seeing this because it is close on the side of the road. But up at the top,
This one?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Up at the top there, though, it's a little bit dicey terrain. So we had one of the guys on a tour with sprain his ankle, um, that we thought was broken at the time. So we had to get him back down to the car. So I had to just get him a piggyback ride, put him up on there, and get him back down. So we'll put you on. I'll put you on my back and get you guys where you need to go.
No, you won't have to do that for us. We'll be in good shape by the time we go climbing those stairs.
Yeah, absolutely. How's your back doing, Dave?
It's getting there. It's getting there.
Getting there?
I am working a program that's been very useful for me, and I just got a bunch of approvals from the VA to do medical massage as well as acupuncture. And I've been meeting with my practitioners last couple of weeks, and I really like them both. That means that's a big thing. Like, they have to be like a good practitioner that you work well with and feel like they understand you. And so it's going well. And my goal is to be like in traveling mode by March, because I'm supposed to be going on an expedition with Cody and Jason Shaman 711, or however you say it, and a few other people. I think Mike Collins and Luke Caverns, I believe, are all going on this. And they asked me to go, and if I'm not ready, it's supposed to be in March. If I'm not ready by like January, then I'm just not going. But I have to. It's something I have to take my time with. So.
Yeah, is that the one down in Mexico that you're talking about?
Correct. And I figured you probably knew about this. Like, Cody probably mentioned it to you.
Yeah, Cody invited me on that as well. So looking forward to more details. I should, if you're there, I'll probably be joining you.
Cool. Yeah, that's exciting. It's it. I right now I can travel. My concern is like, humping through the jungle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Carrying gear, that kind of thing. I'm not quite there yet.
for sure.
But I'm getting there. Like, I've been sitting here. Used to be sitting was this big problem. I've been sitting here all day. We had an interview right before you with a
Nice.
paranormal investigator, and my back's fine. So it used to be all day, every day. Now it's like intermittent. So getting there.
That's good. That's good. Keep up the good progress.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
progress,
you.
Yeah.
I wanted to also ask you about your show. You're just getting the show off the ground, but I really like the format. Will you tell the audience about your show and the inspiration for it and the format and where to find it?
Absolutely. Thanks for that kick there. Yeah, so I started this new show. It's called Breaking Ancient News. You can find it on YouTube right now. Super excited about this project. It's supposed to be happening twice a month on the 5th and the 20th. July 5th, we ran into some complications, just a whole bunch of stuff happened. Wasn't able to get an episode out. But the new episode will be coming out on the 20th here in a few days. But essentially what this is, I feel like there's just so much information, so much news within the discovery community and in the ancient history community that's happening right now. There's so much momentum with new projects getting unveiled, with discoveries of the void getting investigated at Egypt. At Sacsayhuaman right now, they're doing more excavations to do the tunnels underneath Sacsayhuaman. That's happening right now. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. There's like all these new
No, I'm
things that
not,
are
yeah.
happening. Yeah, it's incredible. I'll feature. I'm just going to be featured in this upcoming episode, so
Cool.
be sure to tune in. But because there's so much happening, I felt like it's almost a little bit overwhelming if you're not cued into the right resources. What I wanted to do is I wanted to create a platform and a place where every so often we just do a little bit of a recap of what's happened over the last couple of weeks. We talk about some of the, if any exciting podcasts have come out with some people involved in the sphere, whether that be Graham Hancock, Zahi, or Joe Rogan, or the Y-Files, Jimmy Corsetti, whoever. We talk about the podcast, talk about any new articles, talk about any upcoming events. I want to use this as a space to promote other people's content and get more information out there to more people that are in a form that's easy to digest, so that if you're not all the way in like the rest of us are, when someone talks about the void and the Great Pyramid, you're like, we know what we're talking about, but for the layman, that means nothing to them. So this show's just kind of give a breakdown of the new things that are happening, why it's important, what's significant, and then we're going to bring in some personalities as well to get different takes on it and different viewpoints, different thoughts. We're going to have both you guys on. You guys are queued up as guests, or potential guests once we get everything lined up. So we'll be seeing the invite for that. But that's essentially what inspired the show. Is I wanted to get more information out there to more people, as many people as possible, and break it down so it's easy to digest. Because there is just so much happening right now, which is great, but also a little bit overwhelming and can be a little bit intimidating, as I'm sure you guys are aware.
Absolutely. We think that's a great format for a show. We're somewhat familiar with that ourselves. That's something to what we're going for. And we appreciate the shout out that you gave us in your very first episode of Breaking Ancient News. We appreciate that. So it's good to be part of a community online that shares the same interests. And also, we like using this to help get our friends and family up to speed on some of these headlines that we're diving into throughout the week. So
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a big part of the Breaking Ancient News portion for me, as well as some of my content that I've just posted on my channel on YouTube. Is I've got a lot of family and friends that aren't as deep down the rabbit hole, that aren't as in depth with it as a lot of us. So it's a good way. I want to have something that's easy to break down for people that aren't as crazy as the rest of us.
Yeah, or just don't have the time, right? Some people are
Exactly.
interested in it, but they just don't have enough time. Maybe they're a full-time, employee, got kids, they coach basketball on the side or jujitsu or something, and
Yeah.
they want to tune into Aaron and like every 2 weeks and just get a condensed version of all the highlights. But I like the concept of, who appeared on what podcast, what did AJ talk about on Y Files, but you're also literally breaking ancient news, which is the type that, which is the name of the show, because you were within a week, you were talking about the Louisiana crater that they published a paper on. You were already talking about that, and so I think it's great, man, and I think it's only up from here with that. And I absolutely love your setup back there. You've put a lot of thought into
thank
this and
you.
a lot of care into your background and where you're set up, and it just looks great.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I put a lot of, I got some maps back here from this place in Cusco called King of Maps. If you look on my channel, you can see a detailed picture of all these things. But this is really, really great map maker. It does these custom hand-drawn maps. Mine aren't the originals. I'm not fancy enough for that, but there's some cool stuff there. So thanks for that. I appreciate that, because I did spend a lot of time in this and care on that. So thanks for recognizing that.
You're welcome.
And also, I appreciate you recognizing the name of the channel, because it's kind of a dual use meaning. Breaking ancient news, that we are presenting new news that is about the ancient community. We're also breaking the narrative of some of the ancient, or I guess mainstream views of the ancient world.
Got it.
So
Yeah,
a little bit of a dual purpose use there. It's exciting, new project, excited to get it going. And love featuring you guys on there, because you guys are having some great interviews, especially your Cosmic Summit stuff, and the post-Cosmic Summit stuff was fantastic for my channel as well, for content on there. So thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. And am I still going to be Am I going to be appearing on the 20th talking about Cosmic Summit?
Yes, you'll be appearing on that next episode here in just a few days.
Very cool. Very, very, very cool. Hopefully, this is the first of many collaborations that we have, Aaron, and hopefully we get to do it. If Mike and I and Brittany and our team don't do a tour with you, I will definitely do one with my wife. And I hope all the best for all the ventures you got going on, man.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I would love to get you guys out on a tour. And honestly, it's just great to connect with you, Dave. Great to become friends with you and talk over the last couple of days. Mike, we can reach out to you and start doing that as well, because it is good to just know people in this community. And I don't want to say that we'll just let's be realistic. Both your channel and my channel, especially right now, we're starting from the bottom. We're starting where we're small and where we're building things and building connections. And making these changes in our life that are pushing us in a direction that gives us more control over the things that we want to do.
Right.
This is something that you guys want to do. This is something I want to do. So it's fascinating to find these people and be a part of this community.
Yes.
Especially that now that it is blowing up right now. Like Jimmy Corsetti's blown up. Some Pierce Morgan. Joe Rogan's been talking about it forever. There's Sean Ryan podcast is going crazy. PBD podcast has had a bunch of people on. So it's a good time to be in the sphere and good time to be in this space. And so I appreciate what you guys are doing, how you're bringing attention to this, and thanks so much for having me on and allowing me to share my aspect and my perspective of this beautiful, beautiful thing that I call the megalithic mystery, the discovery community, because it's so much fun to be out here and to be participating in this adventure.
Thank you, Aaron. Thanks for coming on the show today, and we look forward to collaborating in the future.
Yep.
Thanks so much, guys. Blessings to you. Have a great day. Peru's got access to the Amazon jungle, which I'm sure, every single week, as I'm sure you guys see, there's like new LiDAR surveys about giant cities for 10,000 people that are, just there in the Amazon. Like, they're just there. They just got buried. It's an interdimensional connection and something that always fascinates me and something that I'll experience one day when I'm ready. We don't have the puzzle. So when you find a new piece that doesn't necessarily fit into the puzzle, maybe it's not because the new piece doesn't fit. Maybe it's because you're building the puzzle incorrectly. And I think that's where archaeology gets a little confused. What would that say if, like, after 50 years of being the authority that you were actually kind of wrong about this big thing? So it's like, from a purely human perspective, like, that would be life-shattering. It's something that has always bothered me about most institutions is when some figure or some person betrays to have the information as if they are the sole voice of authority. Because you think 100 miles one way, you've got unlimited food from the jungle. 100 miles the other way, you've got unlimited food from the ocean. Yet the Incan people, they settled and they chose Cusco for their capital city. There's a specific reason why, and I think it's because they did not build the city of Cusco. They happened upon this place that was a remnant from the Ice Age civilization.